How long can you afford to live in retirement? When can you retire? How can you afford to support an enjoyable lifestyle in retirement? What else can you expect in retirement? I'm Sean Cooper, president and owner of Fit Financial Consulting, LLC, a registered investment advisor, and my goal in this video is to answer all of these questions and many more of the common questions I hear from my clients. The first step in planning for retirement is to determine what type of lifestyle you want to lead in retirement and how long you expect to live in retirement. Now, these are kind of the antithesis of the previously posed questions, but it's really a matter of deciding whether you want to put the cart before the horse or not, and whether the when you retire or the how you retire is more important to you. So the biggest question I typically get is, when can I retire? And this depends on how much you've saved, the type of lifestyle that you want to have in retirement, and what your life expectancy is. So the first piece of that, the savings, is often the biggest factor. Can have the greatest impact in your retirement success. And to illustrate that, I want to actually bring up an example. So this shows two different individuals, both who want to retire at age 65 and want to have $1 million by the time they're retired at age 65. We're also assuming interest of 8%. So the first in the middle here is a 25-year-old. As you can see, in order to save $1 million by the time they're retired at age 65, they'd have to put away $284.56 monthly. This results in them saving $136,588.80 over the course of their lifespan. The second is a 55-year-old who also has not saved anything to date, which means they are going to have to put away $5,429.90 on a monthly basis. And over the course of the next 10 years, they're going to put away $651,588 in order to save the very same $1 million that the 25-year-old is going to save by only investing $136,588. The rest of that money is all interest, and that really illustrates the power of compounding. In fact, the power of compounding over 10 years, as in the 55-year-old, versus 40 years, as in the 25-year-old, and how much of a difference it makes in terms of how much of the money is what you put away versus what you've earned in interest. And it gives you an idea of how important it is to start early when it comes to your savings. Even if it's only putting away $50 a month, it's going to make a huge difference to your end results and your success in reaching your goals. Simply put, the more you save, the earlier you can retire, or the more lavish a lifestyle you can have in retirement, or some combination of those two factors. That brings me to the next question, which is, how do you want to retire? And this is really more of a personal question. Are you the type of person that is comfortable living a Spartan lifestyle and only traveling locally? Or do you prefer the lap of luxury and international travel and really expensive things? You have to be able to address that question and really be honest with yourself in terms of determining how much money you're going to need in retirement. Now, many financial advisors recommend replacing 60 to 80% of your pre-retirement income for the retirement years. So however much money you've earned prior to retirement on an annual basis, you want to replace 60 to 80% of that annually after you retire. And that's based on the concept that you'll have fewer expenses in retirement. Hopefully by the time you retire, you've paid off your house, the kids are no longer in the house, so you don't have expenses associated with them. Again, hopefully. But that's the general idea there. I typically recommend replacing 100% of your retirement income once you retire. And the logic for that is multifold. The first is really more of a personal thing, and that is I do tend to fall on the end of the spectrum of people who want to travel and be active in retirement. Additionally, I've put in the effort to lead a healthy lifestyle and plan on continuing to put in that effort in order to eat healthy and work out and things of that nature so that I can live a long, healthy life and be active in retirement. So I'd like to have the financial means to be able to support that active lifestyle. Some of the other reasons, though, are universal. They're going to apply to you regardless. And the first is going to be with regards to taxes. So a lot of those expenses that'll go away in retirement, like your house or your kids, um, used to be tax write-offs. Once they're no longer on the table, you can no longer deduct them, which means you may end up in a higher tax bracket than you originally anticipated. Now, with the current tax regime, that may or may not be the case, because a lot of people are going to be just taking the standard deduction, but that can change down the road. So it's something you want to keep an eye on. Other aspects of it are healthcare costs. So healthcare costs continue to go up, not only because people are using it more as they age, but also because the underlying costs tend to go up as technology increases. So, and a lot of that stems from the fact that we have increasing longevity due to healthcare, but we haven't seen proportionate increases in physical and mental permanence to support it, which results in higher long-term care costs. Long-term care facilities range anywhere from 45,000 to 120,000 or more per year, and that's per person. So if you have two people in long-term care situations, that gets really expensive really fast. It's not something that you want to overlook. The other way of looking at how much you need to save in retirement, what I've seen proposed by some experts is deriving higher levels of income in the early years of retirement while you are more active, and lower levels down the road as your activity levels decrease. Again, I would tend to shy away from that strategy simply because activity levels and healthcare or long-term care costs tend to be inversely proportionate. As your activity levels decrease, your healthcare costs tend to increase to offset it. On top of all of that, inflation is going to erode your purchasing power, which means just to maintain the same lifestyle, you're going to need to draw more money on an annual basis. So all factors that lead me to suggest you want to have more money in retirement than you might otherwise think. All of this stems from the concept that the when you retire is more important than the how you retire. And I absolutely don't recommend letting the when dictate the how, but you do want to find a balance. So on the one hand, you don't want to postpone retirement to the point that you can't enjoy it from a physical standpoint, but you also don't want to retire so early that you're effectively living a lifestyle of a hermit because you can't afford to go do anything. So it is a balancing act. And the reason I bring this up is because delaying retirement, unfortunately, is often one of the most effective means of improving retirement. So the reason for that is it works to improve your situation multifold. The first is delaying retirement for even 1 year is going to add an additional year of savings. On top of that, it's another year that you're not spending those savings. And the third benefit you can derive from delaying retirement is if you're delaying somewhere in that range of age 62 to 70, you're also going to increase your Social Security withdrawal by adding in that delay. So another factor to consider. Again, it is a balancing act, and you don't want to delay too long, but you don't want to retire too early that you can't afford retirement in the first place. So that brings me to the last factor that you really have to consider, and that is your life expectancy. Unfortunately, this is the factor that you probably have the least control over. Now, I'm all for eating healthy and working out and things of that nature to try to increase your life expectancy and that sort of thing, but genes are still going to play a major factor in your life expectancy. With that said, the place to go to start estimating your life expectancy is actually Social Security, the Social Security Administration. They provide a listing of mortality tables that you can use to estimate your individual life expectancy. So we have your male life expectancy based on current age, and then female life expectancy based on age as well. But you'll want to revise these up or down based on your individual situation. So the first revision you'll want to make is based on your family history. Do you have a history of longevity in your family? So a lot of relatives that have lived to age 90 or 100 or beyond, then you want to make an upward revision to your life expectancy. On the flip side, if you have a history of family disease like cancer or stroke or heart attacks, things of that nature, you'll probably want to make a downward revision. The other side of that is your lifestyle. Have you lived a healthy lifestyle, eating healthy and working out and things of that nature that would call for an upward revision of your life expectancy? Or were you a heavy smoker for a period of your life, or a heavy drinker? Anything along those lines might actually require a downward revision. The whole point of this life expectancy thing, though, is just to get an idea of a rough end date so that we know if you retire on this date, this is how many years we're going to have to cover in retirement. So, and these are all just projections that we're utilizing. So far we have evaluated it from the standpoint of when can I retire based on how much can I save and my lifestyle and my life expectancy. But this all assumes that the savings are fixed. Now that makes it very easy from a calculation standpoint. You estimate your spending habits. We know what those are. What are they going to be in retirement? We estimate your life expectancy, and assuming we retire, assuming we save so much on an annual basis, then we can then calculate how many years can we afford to live in retirement. And if we have the life expectancy, then we calculate the years that we can afford and work our way backwards to, okay, we can retire on this date. That gives us the win. However, if your savings are flexible, and we can increase the savings, or if things are going really well and you can even decrease the savings, you've already saved enough, that's another eventuality. But then we look at it from a little bit different perspective, and we look at it from how much you can save instead of, okay, this is how much you are saving. But that allows us to work things at a very different angle. So at that point, we can actually say, hey, this is the date that I want to retire. Not when can I retire, but I want to retire on this date. This is the life expectancy I want to have. This is my life expectancy. My lifestyle I want to have, and this is my life expectancy. So we know how many years that we're going to have to cover those expenses for. Then we evaluate it from the standpoint of, this is how much we need to save to reach those goals. That's certainly the way I prefer to approach it, but if the win is more important, you can certainly approach it from that standpoint as well. So a few other factors that you're going to want to evaluate in retirement or for retirement are Social Security and insurance. So I'm going to be posting some separate videos on both of these topics later to go into them in a little more detail, actually a lot more detail. But just to give you a rough idea, the first step, you can actually go to the Social Security Administration again and create my Social Security account. And by my, I don't mean my, I mean yours, but it's literally my Social Security account. So, and you can actually go in there and estimate your Social Security benefits. The other thing I mentioned was insurance, and that's utilizing insurance as a means of wealth transfer, as well as long-term care insurance to cover that particular eventuality. So you can always self-insure for both of those eventualities if you'd prefer. It just requires a great deal more planning and jumping on that much earlier. So something to consider as you're approaching retirement. Ultimately, the goal, though, of retirement planning is to match your income with your expenses for the entirety of your retirement years. And it's all a matter of projecting each one of those factors: your savings, your life expectancy, how long you'll be in retirement, and the lifestyle you want to lead in retirement. So hopefully this helps answer some of your questions. If you have additional questions, concerns, comments even, by all means, give me a call and reach out, 720-808-6979, or shoot me an email at sean.cooper at fitfinancialconsulting.com. Thanks.